Welcome to IoT Coffee Talk. What's up, guys? Nothing.
Nothing. Very good.
Yeah. Hey, good to see you, Wienke.
Thanks. There's a heat wave here, so I'm a bit of a summer. There's a bit of a summer out with it. But,
No kidding.
Everything's good. How are you? How are you guys?
Really good. Not boiling like you guys are. I know, Andreea, you're in Dallas area, right? And yeah. I think you guys are still going to have like 100-degree plus weather or 41 Celsius.
40, more like weather.
44. 44? Ooh.
Yeah, because there's no shade anywhere.
Yeah, that's like brutal.
That shade is kind of overrated.
Yeah, I know. Last week you mentioned squirrels running around. I just don't believe you. I think even squirrels are smart enough not to go outside. I mean, that is just like really brutal. So, hey, Wienke. Hey, Bill. What's up, man?
What's up?
Glad you can make it. Do you guys know each other?
Yeah, we met on the last Coffee Talk. That was good.
Oh, that's right. Glad you can make it, man. So, Wienke was just telling us that he's suffering a heat wave just like you guys. And I'm like an odd man out. So I don't mind alienating myself this week like, you guys tried to do last week to me. We have like nice weather here, San Diego.
Yeah, you do.
So,
you see that? That's exactly what...
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's why everyone wants to live here,
Well, wait a minute. I wouldn't say that. I mean, Texas is literally the hot spot right now.
Right. Literally. Yeah. Well, they wish they could. I still haven't met anyone who said, I wouldn't want to live here. So, but anyway. Yeah, I don't mean to make you guys.
No. The weather is unparalleled. I mean, you can go. It's the one thing that had me torn for a while. Is literally I could go to the beach. From the beach, I could go to the mountains.
Yeah,
all in one day.
Yeah, exactly. That's California, right? So hey, Wienke, thanks for jumping on, man. It's really good to have you on again. And looks like we're going to have some fun in Amsterdam, right?
yeah, that's going to be fun. 22nd, 23rd of September in Amsterdam, the Things Conference. That's always going to be super nice. So, yeah, you're coming as well. So that's great. Yeah,
I'm going to try to make it in person, and I think it's going to be fantastic because I've only attended. I think I attended 2, both virtually. So, I did a couple of talks, right? I think maybe a couple of years ago, and so it'll be nice to hang out with you guys and meet the developers. That's always really fun. Having chats with folks who are actually in the field doing work and trying to make things happen. So, yeah.
Very, very excited. So it's excited that it's going to be physical again. That virtual was nice for us because then we actually can reach more of our, let's say, 170K now developer accounts, and then everybody can join. But this is much nicer, and it's we always we created this event because we wanted to have, let's say, like an event where people have like true stories, not the corporate story, but really like a safe space to share all the failures. And this one is going to be exciting because LoRaWAN is now 7 years in. So for a lot of people that formed some kind of a perspective on it, let's say 4 to 5 years ago, this is really the time to revisit. And we see a lot of people coming back and checking what.
I think it's going to be really an insightful event to attend, and so maybe not failures. I think there's a lot of lessons learned, right? I mean,
sure.
I don't think we should give folks who try too hard of a time. It's tough out there, and I think we.
No, I or that, or we should not have like a negative connotation with maybe the word failure. I do understand what you mean.
I'm trying to influence you, dude. I am like so not a fan of failure. I mean, there's like literally a culture of failure where they say, "Oh, it's okay to fail." It's like, no, it's not okay to fail. It's very important to learn, but failure is not. I mean, dude. Seriously, how many times have you guys in the corporate world or even in life have really truly thought that failure was okay? Really?
Absolutely.
Experimentation is not a big deal. I mean, an experiment, but
I think it's the connotation that failure brings to the table, right? So, I mean, being on the innovation side of things, I really do want to, I want to conceptualize, visualize what it is that I want to accomplish. Try to get that done, and I want to find as many ways possible that it doesn't work. Yeah. Right, and I want to do that quick.
Sure, but that's experimentation. I mean, so there's this. I guess Edison quote where they asked him, the reporter asked him, well, how many times did you fail to invent the light bulb? And he said, I didn't. I made something like 10,000 tries, right? I made, and connoting, look, I'm experimenting. So innovation is a process of discovery and exploration. You can go ahead and fail there. But you're experimenting. What you don't want to do is fail in enterprise, taking that thing to market, because a lot of capital goes into that. I mean, obviously, a lot of capital goes into inventing stuff, but I think there's a certain, that's sort of a different activity than, commercializing something and failing there. You know what I'm saying? I think you can't conflate the two. That's why I'm sort of not this huge. I think you have to be very, very careful about that term fail. But definitely learning, lessons learned. Whether it's if you're experimenting and trying to discover stuff, which is a concerted effort to invest in discovery and learning, or you're looking on the commercial side where you're actually trying to make a commercial success of some kind, right? Where investors are staking in you, and I mean, you kind of don't want to fail.
There's a big difference, right?
Yeah.
Between R&D and business. And in the business world, failure is never a good thing. Yeah, but I think this whole notion about fail fast, fail often, and whatever. It's I've seen a lot of it in the last couple of years, and it has more to do with the startup world. Yeah. In which people want to make founders want to make others comfortable with failure and say don't give up. I would think it's a lot of that going on. Or founders who have failed want to show their human side. Mm. They say, hey, I'm only talking about my successes, but I failed on multiple occasions, and it was good. All right, well, it was good from what point of view? Whatever.
Yeah. Agree.
I blame marketing.
Always.
Marketing. I mean, look, marketing goes out there. They sit down with the people that create this stuff, and then they start asking those questions. Okay, what's the value prop? Okay, how if we lean? All right, now we're leaning. You're not leaning. You're outside of the box. You're way down there on 3rd Street, and I'm not even going in that direction. Yeah. But we can come back and marketing. Innovation is failed by marketing. Because marketing says these are the things that are going to happen.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's when there's that expectation mismatch, and then I recently got into a conversation about digital transformation, and there's that stat out there, and Wienke, you know this very well with even the IoT, very high rate of failure, and what we have dubbed the F minus problem, right? I mean, if we were graded in school, how good we are with IoT and digital transformation, we're like we're batting at around 200, which in baseball is not that bad, but in school and in business, that's pretty horrific. And I think a lot of the issues that it's not even that I know, because I've experienced this, is this mismatch between expectations, especially at the very beginning, and what is actually possible. Right? And what is actually possible, there's a lot of dimensions to it, and there's a lot of stuff that has to be managed. But then when the expectations are set so high and unreasonably, that's when you get into serious trouble. And that's usually where failure occurs, because a failure is a perception. Do you know what I'm saying? That is at some point substantiated by outcome. But, so the only thing that you have left over is the learning if you have a positive mindset. But I
think what Bill said, indeed, like I think fail fast, or let's say validate fast, like if you want to say it more positive. I think that like real failures, you're sticking to a PowerPoint for way too long because that's what you promised your boss, and you're not transparent, and you're saying, hey, like we should kill this sooner than later, because then we can focus on like we tried this, we'll take the good bits and we'll move it on. So yeah, and I totally agree with you. Like that it also, like by having this whole, let's say, storyline around embrace failure and that kind of stuff, it makes failure somehow unreasonable comfortable. And it should be the like you should have sleepless nights, right? Like it's going through this pain where you will find something new. So I totally agree that the whole like embrace failure and failures okay just like is a counterproductive thing, because indeed it's not okay, and we're trying to basically avoid it, actually.
Yeah, I mean, fear is not entirely a bad thing. It creates. I mean, you don't want it to be super unhealthy, but it's a great stimulator. You know what I'm saying? You have positive motivation drivers and negative motivation drivers, and so I think you always need a good mix. And I think even like what's even worse is picking that. What you said, Andreea, like sometimes you need that bit of comfort that failure is not like it's not the end of the world. So you need like this kind of storyline to comfort yourself a bit. The issue is that if you then place that embrace failure into a very comfortable corporate context, then all of a sudden it really doesn't work, because first of all, in the corporate, failure is not okay, and then if failure is okay, indeed it's called R&D, and let's just call it R&D and not call it experimentation or embrace failure. And I think that where it like crosses these domains, and then you try to I've seen a lot of these corporate innovation programs, and that's if you don't call it R&D, or if you don't call it science, then I don't know. And I think it's a great filter. It provides a great filter, just this sort of anxiety about failing. It provides a bit of a filter, and not all filters are bad, especially like Bill, what you're saying, when the expectations have marketing has gone bonkers with stuff, and then you have all this, immense hype that we've seen time and time again. not necessarily a healthy thing. I think it's good to have solid filters. Do you know what I'm saying? Because if there's if there's too much junk, that's not good, right? I mean, like a lot of the speculative stuff that's happening now is not efficient for markets. I don't care what people say. I mean, the folks in the finance industry know this very clearly, but, being able to focus on the fundamentals, a lot of that is just really understanding the foundational stuff, what works, and where the value resides. And so that, Wienke, I think that's what I really appreciate about, what you guys do at Things Industries is that, having spoken to you many, many times, and you and I, we've hung out with, a bunch of the IoT Coffee Talk guys, and that is all we talk about, right? We don't talk about, this forecast that estimates that in 2035 there's going to be 5 trillion connected devices. We don't occupy our time with that stuff. We talk about, how do we move the ball? And that really, the answer to that question is, how do we tune into value, right? And so that, honestly, those organic discussions that you can have with the developers, I'm really looking forward to it, and that's why face-to-face is so important. You really don't get that. You tried some silly metaverse crap, right?
Yeah.
How did that turn out? No, not the last episode. Literally, they set up like a metaverse event thingy.
Yeah, that was actually really good, but it doesn't come close. I even with the last events I got to, like CES there was still very distant. Everybody kept even like we're physically together, but everybody was a bit distant.
Yeah.
And but the IT events I went after was just brought me again just so much value in the sense that you get this. You actually get the unfiltered feedback, right? Something that you don't feel comfortable just like saying in front of a camera. And so and that's also, and so one of the concepts that we're going to do at the end of day one is also let's say a booth crawl. So every booth is going to get 2 crates of cold beers and alcohol-free beers and everybody's included, whatever your preference of beverage. But so that's also a bit of it's part of the concept, right? Also like share a bit on what it is, and it's also really important if you talk about then failure or predicting failure. That's better, and predicting failure and effective experimentation.
Yeah.
You actually need very truthful market data, and then going back to your point, you're like it's all marketing's fault. Somehow it is, because if somebody's over exaggerating some kind of market opportunity or their platform opportunity, and it's not that big, or it's actually in another niche, you want to know that as a developer, right? Because you're going in with a spike, with a beachhead, and like this is your focus. And if you shoot wrong, then you have failure. So I really hope that we have like more of, let's say, like a good get together and almost like a festival vibe, what we're going to create, just to make sure that we create this serendipity of exchange, which maybe not always is in like something that you would say in public, but has a lot of value if you go one-on-one. Yeah.
It's the beer.
It's the beer. All right.
It's like don't use all these big words, man. It's so ridiculous. Just say it. Beer. It's all that counts.
It helps. Yeah. So, but it's part of the. I think the event itself is really like a festival, all kind of vibe where you come together and just have some ideas of what works and what doesn't work. And also like we have very strict actually guidelines for speakers. So like speakers don't need to introduce themselves, because people can look on their LinkedIn. They don't need to introduce their companies, because they can look at their website. It's really like focusing on single solutions and challenges and how they solve them. So it's going to be exciting, and we're going to build the world's largest digital twin. So a bit of a hype. But LoRaWAN ecosystem is actually one of the strengths, is that there's a lot of off-the-shelf devices. So we're going to put them there, and having AR thing to put in a bit of hype. as well. But that's going to be super fun, and we're going to have like 2 days long somebody live soldering devices and just having that as a thing as well. So yeah, it's going to be exciting, and but no failures, only successes.
Yeah, only
do you have healthcare applications too?
Yeah, we have a lot of customers in healthcare actually, in large pharmaceutical companies. It's something that I cannot not really share, but I think the common denominator is the massive cost that the healthcare industry is facing, and the increasing costs are facing over the next 10 years, and almost like with small sensors, for instance, sending like people safely home a day early from the hospital. I mean, you're talking about business cases that are going through the roof. So yeah, we see a lot of healthcare things.
You have participants from healthcare at the conference.
Yeah, we have customers.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah. So they will join as well, and from different sides. And
because it's not only about cost; it's also about precision, right? There's so much that's underdiagnosed or misdiagnosed and mistreated.
Yeah.
So things are supposed to help with that.
Yeah, definitely. So our conference is really focused on LoRaWAN, and LoRaWAN is not the strength is in that sense. Then the precision has to come from the sensor, of course. But yeah, that's definitely. Definitely interesting. But even if it's not precision, but if it's efficiency and operational efficiency, which doesn't need 100% precision, there's still like massive cost, right? And in these costs, is also in the end can result in quality and precision, because if the nurse or doctor can spend like the bulk of their time on the people that really need it, then you also have. Like there's so much to improve in that area. Yeah. Do you do anything there? Like, do you have anything? Why this specific interest?
Yeah, I mean, you asked me earlier before we started recording what I'm doing now. So I'm turning towards the health sector after so many years in telecom, technology in the health sector. That's what interests me the most. So that's where I'm working towards.
Yeah, it's with the ever growing elder population. It's gonna be massive. And I'm surprised by, even if you look at facility management or even like the supportive functions of a hospital. I was talking to somebody on a healthcare event, and they say like they send in like a company, and they're sending every month they're sending somebody in to certify the dishwashers, because they all have to be at antibacterial levels. And I said, like, but you can also like certify by putting in a LoRaWAN sensor, and that checks like did this dishwasher actually run at every time it runs, it needs to at least be 10 minutes on 70 degrees Celsius. I said, oh no, never heard of it. And then like, well, like these massive business cases are up for grasp. Opportunities are endless.
Yeah, and I think, Andreea, having you get into that industry would be a great boon for them, given your background and what you know about wireless technologies and solutioning. I mean, I just think a lot of industries just lack those folks that have that CT background coming in and really helping them understand the technology first, but then also being able to work with them to ideate through some of the new applications, right? Because like what Wienke, what you just outlined is a perfect example. I mean, how many folks in the industry would actually think about doing that kind of monitoring and compliance checking using wireless? They probably don't even know that it exists, or how much it costs, or what it takes to implement it, And so, I mean, those are just the massive gaps, I think, that need to be that need to be bridged for IoT and all these other technologies to really gain traction. I mean, that's.
Yeah. So, Andreea, where do you think are the biggest opportunities then? And does that probably also differs between EU, US, Asia? I guess. Where do you think is the biggest opportunity?
Oh, there's so many. One is a huge one. It's global, but in US itself, it feels like it's global because we're so big and fragmented when it comes to health records. So the unification of health records, or rather unification maybe is not the right word, because you don't want to have just one system that's gigantic and it's especially across the health system as large as US, but you want to have interoperability and ease for doctors to, especially those physicians that work in teams, like, cancer care is a team care. Depending on the cancer, you can have 2 physicians involved, or you can have 7 physicians and dietitians and so on involved. So those systems, making those systems work efficiently, that's a huge need, a huge opportunity, huge need. So that's a big one. And another one that I see is around musculoskeletal care. There are quite a few apps now in US, at least Hinge Health and Kaya Health. Those are a couple. Kaya comes from Germany, if I'm not mistaken, actually. They have to do with remote rehab, right, of people with musculoskeletal issues. But and they're working pretty well. But what I'm thinking about is diagnosing right, because there's so much that's diagnosed too late, or it's impossible to diagnose. It just says, people throw their arms in the air and they say, we've looked at MRI, we've looked at X-rays, we've done blood tests, we did clinical tests in the doctor's office. We don't know what it is, right? And then it goes on a pile of pain management. And people need pain management, right? And obviously you cannot attach sensors all over the body or embed sensors everywhere. Where do you do that? How do you do that, right? But we got to find the finesse in diagnosing early and diagnosing right.
Interesting.
Those are a couple of things. These are the things that, let's just say, I spend most time on. Yeah. And then there's, of course, that health in US, health inequity is a big one, right? Mm-hmm. When you look at the population in rural areas and population even in urban areas, that's, at low income, and they don't even dare to go to a health office because they know they're not going to follow up properly because they don't have the funds to support physiotherapy or medicine and all that. So people just don't go. So a lot of these people, you could say on one hand, they're a burden on society from a medical point of view, but that's not the main point. The main point is how do you get these people healthy, right? And these are not the people that have access. They don't have funds to have access to technology, right? So again, they don't have all the devices. Remote monitoring for them is really not possible unless the government starts to sponsor all this. So how do you address health inequity through technology? That's another big area for me.
Yeah.
I can talk the whole hour about this. So I have to quickly be selective.
Yeah, but it's interesting that at least in the US, so there's a lot of opportunity. The advantage of having very commercialized, let's say, healthcare systems, that there's also an opportunity to innovate more. And here in Europe is like it's almost like if you go into healthcare and you want to make some profits, it's seen as pretty dirty, right? So but yeah, I mean, things like this, what you're saying, this we call it electronic patient dossier. That's at least now going to be like that's completely harmonized on all data models and that kind of stuff. So
Yeah. But in US, healthcare has been about profit. It's all about
It's a
profit.
business.
Yeah.
It's all about profiteering, and I could go into tons of details about fraud or gimmicks, agreements of I scratch your back, you scratch my back, but none of us is the patient. So the patient is kind of left out there to hope for the better. So US is like that, right? So for US, it's time to switch to taking care of patients. Yeah. And now that technologies are a lot more mature, the time is right.
So there was this like crypto bro kind of like old school VC. What was Mark Cuban? He created a online pharmacy now or something.
Mike Cuban.
Oh yeah! Wow, I saw that. Is that true? Like
I never.
How does it?
Yeah. So Mark Cuban, he's
Mark Cuban.
Yeah, he's the owner of our local
Mavericks
football team, the Dallas Mavericks. Yeah.
Okay.
He's an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Wealthy. So he's gone into this medicine business. He's not going there for profits. He has a ton of money. He's going there for another reason.
Really?
Because again, the medicine business is another dirty business. So
no, I mean, yeah, but the thing is here's the problem: technology never cleared the dirty laundry. We talk about dirty laundry all the time. I mean, that's where. I think going back to, sort of disconnect in expectations, and I would say even understanding of end market, that's where a lot of the failures occur. I mean, that's why, market intelligence is an interesting thing. There's a lot of bad market intelligence, and then there's a lot of, there's a small bit of good market intelligence. And you probably noticed that most market intelligence is dirty laundry, ignorant. You just don't want to talk. I mean, it's not fun, or maybe not a good thing to talk about dirty laundry. And that's what has to clear. Because, I mean, going back to the topics that we've brought up several times, like supply chain, global supply chain management, orchestration, and visibility, and all this stuff, it's like, how many years people have been talking about that, and how many technologies have come through promising to bring about that global kumbaya situation. It's like none of it has worked. Not even blockchain. Blockchain isn't working.
Not even blockchain. Yeah.
Huh? Yeah.
It's not. It's technology is a tool, right? So like the underlying, because I mean, if you talk about medicine, basically the only market information you need is science, right? There's a lot of science around different things, like things you can get, different medicine you can take. And what more, let's say, the countries do that let the government negotiate with the pharmacy companies is that they just have that science at hand. So but you're selling this one, but I can go to a competitor that does exactly the same. They're 10 times cheaper. And then that's why we only pay $100 a month healthcare as well, because you have like a group buy kind of deal with the entire country. But that's what you probably need. But you can't fix that with even, I think, an online pharmacy. That would be hard even.
Yeah.
It helps a bit, incremental, I guess.
It's and then what Mark Cuban is hoping or promising to make a difference is it's really in the supply chain. It's not the modality for selling. Is the supply chain. Who's involved in a supply chain? How many parties are? Who's negotiating? How much profit you're taking? Those kind of the things. You're shaking your head.
Sorry, I heard this so many times. It just doesn't work that way. I'm sorry. It doesn't. It doesn't matter how many billions of dollars he has. It just doesn't.
Amazon tried this. Amazon tried this a few years ago as well, right? They also wanted to start an online pharmacy. Yeah. Is that now still for some commodities or something, or is it?
I mean, for me, the way I look at it is it's more, sure, we say supply chain, but it's literally, because that cuts across the board, right? The idea of getting medications from point A to point B that have to be maintained at a specific temperature level across, so the cold chain experience, right? It happens with the food, it happens with all of that. And to your point, Leonard, you hear about the magnitude of the market. And this has been the same and I've been following it for at least 12, 15 years.
Yeah.
And the market size hasn't changed. It's still a multi-billion-dollar opportunity. It's not a technology problem.
No, that's true. But we were talking in the beginning about failures, and I was itching to ask you about the IoT forecasts, and I never hear talk about failing forecasts. We hear about, we got to revise the forecast because the market is not moving as we predicted, so it's the market's fault.
Ouch. Yeah.
But
blame it on marketing.
Blame it on marketing.
Yeah. What do you say about that?
Yeah, so I think what we're doing, trying to build a company around helping other companies be successful more, and for us, it doesn't really matter, and we have our own data. We can see, and we work with that at some point. And in the end, we're just building a healthy business. We're gonna connect our 1 millionth device somewhere in the next 6 months. But yeah, it's I actually don't really watch them anymore, and I don't think that a lot of people are influenced with it. And sometimes they deliver some guidance. And I mean, if you look at it, I heard that this year, they have 4 billion Bluetooth modules or chips are sold, and 4 billion Wi-Fi chips, and that's still growing. So, to be honest, like there's something to it. So yeah, I think maybe there's going to be billions of connected devices. But yeah, what do you do? What do you do with it in a massively fragmented market? What's the value of aggregated?
And it's not all the analysts. It's not all on the analysts. A lot of it has to do with the people who consume the forecast data and the rest of the report, namely the assumptions and the market definitions, how the market is defined and segmented in the analysis. People, they just take the biggest number.
Right? Yeah, and also
and then they bonkers with it.
And does it correlate with the biggest value, the biggest profit margin you can get? Because in the end, that's really where the interesting part is. Because and what kind of segments can you address to also make a healthy company? And I think with the current situation, where I really welcome this increase in interest rates, because it just challenges a business case much stronger. It's like, okay, what if I just put it on the bank? What if I give it to you?
No.
And it's things I really like. I really enjoy this phase where things are going back to normal, and we just have to build proper business cases. And if you don't outperform the market and the general interest rate and inflation, you're a failure, right? So very simple.
Yeah, it makes things a little bit scarier. Going back to what we said before, right? And dumb ideas the dumb ideas get aborted before they even get funded, which is a good thing. Because why do we need more stupid ideas, right?
No,
you know what I'm saying? Filters are good. Whoever said that you're entitled to free money, zero cost capital, and that business is easy. Business is friggin' hard. Like what you're saying, focus on building a valuable business. Don't worry about the forecast and all this other BS about where the market's going. If you're working with the technology and you see problems that you can actually solve and you have customers that you can help, that's it. Don't go beyond that. I mean, it's like, In-N-Out Burger. I love In-N-Out Burger because you know what? They never got, I don't know if they never got external funding, but it's a private company. And they have a very simple menu, and they do a great job of not only sustaining this menu that people love, they also execute. And they cater to a very broad market and that just loves their stuff. And you go to any In-N-Out Burger, it's packed all the time. They didn't go out and try to go public and label themselves a unicorn, all this other BS. They didn't. They focused on building a great business.
Yeah, but this
Unit one.
That also the excessive multipliers on the revenue ad is that it's created. It made corporate development more important than customer and business development. And if your sole target is to say, I like Twilio goes at 40x yearly revenue. Okay, like if I'm going to be something similar like Twilio, then I can get a 40x exit. I think that like if you have like that was a very strong incentive for 3 years in the market, right? And that created probably a lot of crappy companies, so that time is over.
I mean, I don't know how many times they resurrect this valuation is dead corpse, but they reanimate it in so many different ways. They come up with some new hypothesis that, sound fundamentals and focus on value and building, a business that is a good one, that makes profits off the get-go. They somehow just keep resurrecting this speculative monster, and then it creates these bubbles. And I don't know, some people get rich, but a lot of people lose a crap ton of money to make those few people rich on nonsense,
If they exit early,
Yeah, and I think that's, but people invest in this stuff, but I've brought this up before. In the grand scheme of things, if we look at economic and economic competitiveness, all that stuff really how do you build a economy on speculation? I mean, does that make sense to anybody? Seriously.
Theranos?
Huh?
Theranos? Theranos?
I mean...
Yeah, that was about it, right?
Enron.
Yeah, I mean, an economy based on speculative investments and vaporware businesses. I just don't know how you compete in the future. But the crazy thing is, a lot of that is mindset, investor mindset, entrepreneurial mindset, the startup VC mindset, PE mindset, the Wall Street mindset. It's the Silicon Valley and beyond mindset. And if speculation just colors everything, how do we compete with, let's say, a China who's backing off of that stuff, looking at, hey, wait a minute, all this crazy, VC-driven speculative stuff that the West is doing is kind of dangerous, and we have our own problems with the real estate stuff. But hey, maybe we need to throw all that.
The biggest issue is the waste of resources, and specifically.
Exactly.
I totally agree, and there's this. At least in the Netherlands, there's now like a dangerously low unemployment level, but it also becomes like there's a lot of people like doing like working for these companies that are not going nowhere. And it's I think that must indeed be the like one of the biggest, let's say, resource drains that we have, and hopefully that indeed increasing, let's say, like these interest rates increases, or like make sure that money isn't available for free.
You vet the investment, right, or what you're investing in or what you're lending to. I mean, I think it's healthy stuff. It's
sure
good. It deflates a lot of the nonsense narratives out there, right?
Sure.
So
cool. Great.
All right. Cool. Hey, man, it was so good to have you on. Andreea, Bill, awesome to have you guys on, as always. I mean, you're regular, so. But hey, really looking for it. Hey, dude, Bill, and Andreea, if you guys can make it to Amsterdam, we should all go there and hang out. That'd be really
I was just thinking about that. I was like, well, wait a minute. I mean, I kind of want to go just to be in the mix.
Yeah, a lot of people
you should be there.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know about LoRaWAN, or don't get to dig in like you will if you go there, and hang out with.
Totally crossed my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I did for a while. I mean, I joined. There was I wanted to understand how Things Network worked.
Yeah.
So I mean, I signed up. I was looking at it, and then I just started listing a whole bunch of questions. And then Machine Q was one of my clients, so I helped them as much as I could.
Nice.
But I'd love to see where it's at now.
Yeah.
And
you'll be amazed. Like especially if you visited, like you walk this path, and it's also interesting because the majority of our customers are in the US, and we will show some very nice use cases. So I'll definitely follow up personally with you and make sure you get a ticket. And then for anybody else listening, then feel free to reach out. And then everyone is invited, of course. So thanks. Will be awesome.
Yeah. No, let's follow up. I definitely would be. I'd be willing to go. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's Amsterdam, man. Come on.
I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying. All right, guys. Well, to our IoT Coffee Talk listeners and viewers, thanks for hanging out with us. We really appreciate it. That's it for this episode. I think we're going to entitle it the failure episode. Don't talk about failure. Maybe we'll call it the lessons learned episode. But we really appreciate you hanging out with us this far. Remember to like, subscribe, share your thoughts, and we will see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Take care, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya. Thanks for having me. Bye.